Coming into Super Bowl 42, the prevailing sense was that the showdown between the New England Patriots and the New York Giants was little more than a formality, a 60-minute pit stop on the Patriots' road to history. New England was unbeatable. If any team was going to spoil their perfect season, it wasn't going to be the Giants, and it certainly wasn't going to be in the Super Bowl. New York had no hope but to pray for a miracle. Well, believe it or not, a miracle occurred that night in Glendale, resulting in the most memorable play in Super Bowl history and fueling one of the most stunning upsets that football has ever seen. To appreciate the magnitude of the helmet catch, you need to understand just how indomitable the 2007 Patriots were. That year, after going 2 straight seasons without a Super Bowl, the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick-led Patriots, a dynasty with 3 rings already, put together what looked like their magnum opus. In 2007, the Patriots authored not just the most dominant regular season of their dynastic run, but the most impressive regular season in the history of the NFL. Get this, over their first 8 games in 2007, not only did the Patriots go undefeated, but their average margin of victory was over 25 points. In the closest game of that 8-0 start, New England won by 17 points. Meanwhile, in their lowest scoring game of that remarkable run, New England put up 34 points. That was their lowest scoring game. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out one of the major reasons behind New England's offensive explosion in 2007. Randy Moss. In his first season with New England, the 30-year-old emphatically dispelled the notion that his career was winding down, re-establishing himself as the NFL's most dangerous wide receiver on account of his immediate chemistry with Brady. And I mean immediate. Over his first 4 games with New England, Moss accounted for 7 receiving touchdowns. 7. Anyway, it wasn't until week 9 that the Patriots won by fewer than 2 scores. They were unstoppable. And ultimately unprecedented. In the end, the 2007 Patriots became the first team ever to put together a 16-0 regular season, one-upping the 3 other teams from NFL history that also went undefeated, but over a shorter schedule. And I'm going to take a second here to rattle off just some of the records that this team and its players set along the way. Over the course of their 16-0 regular season, the Patriots scored more points than any other team in NFL history and also managed the highest single-season point differential ever. Meanwhile, Brady, the league MVP, established a new single-season record for passing touchdowns with 50, while Moss established a new single-season record for receiving touchdowns with 23. And ultimately, it felt not just possible but inevitable that these Patriots would join the 1972 Miami Dolphins as the only teams ever to put together a perfect season, Super Bowl and all. And that feeling only intensified over the course of the playoffs. The Patriots won by multiple scores in both the divisional round and the AFC Championship game, punching their ticket to Super Bowl 42 and putting themselves 1 win away from football immortality, and really sports immortality. And get this, the team standing between them in history wasn't the 13-win Cowboys, it wasn't the 13-win Packers, it wasn't even the Buccaneers, who had the NFC's best defense that year. It was the New York Giants, a 10-6 wildcard team that epitomized the word mid. The Giants didn't have a top 10 offense, they didn't have a top 10 defense. In fact, they finished with the worst point differential in their own division. They also sent just 1 player to the Pro Bowl. And no, it wasn't Eli Manning. And notably, when the Giants had a chance to snap the Patriots' perfect campaign in Week 17, the final game of the regular season, the Giants ended up blowing a 12-point second-half lead en route to a historic 38-35 Patriots win. So this Super Bowl 42 matchup was a classic David versus Goliath story. Except in this case, Goliath was on steroids and David didn't even have a slingshot. The Patriots were favored by 12 points in Super Bowl 42, which was ironically the biggest point spread in a Super Bowl since New England shocked the world and upset the St. Louis Rams in Super Bowl 36. In the almost 2 decades since Patriots-Giants, by the way, no Super Bowl matchup has had a point spread even close to that large. But that presumed blowout never happened. Instead, the Giants made it interesting, turning what was supposed to be a laugher into a tense, tight affair. Squaring off against the greatest offense in the history of the NFL, the Giants studiously tried to keep the ball out of Brady's hands. On their first possession of the game, New York ate up a staggering 10 minutes, capping a 16-play drive with a field goal. That early lead didn't last long though. On the ensuing Patriots possession, Brady marched his team 56 yards downfield before Lawrence Maroney put New England on top with a short touchdown run. Amazingly, however, the Giants managed to neutralize New England's offense from that point onward. The Patriots went 3-and-out on their next 2 possessions, and the Giants' defense capped a stellar first half by forcing and recovering a Brady fumble in the dying moments of the second quarter. At halftime, New England held a slim 7-3 lead, and that score remained until the fourth quarter, with New York continuing to frustrate Brady. This New England shellacking? It wasn't happening. And as the game headed into crunch time, the Patriots actually found themselves trailing. The Giants stormed ahead on a touchdown pass to David Tyree with just over 11 minutes remaining in the fourth. Now in retrospect, we should have seen that as an omen, a sign that the Giants had something special cooking. Tyree, after all, was a special teams player who had all of 4 receptions during the regular season. He also had a famously miserable showing at practice 2 days before the big game. But now here he was catching a go-ahead touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. In the moment, however, none of us could have figured that Tyree's biggest contribution was still to come and that this game was about to get infinitely more wild. See, after being stymied for virtually the entire second half, Brady and the Patriots offense found their groove midway through the fourth. With less than 8 minutes on the clock, Brady orchestrated a 12-play, 80-yard drive that he capped with a touchdown pass to, who else? Randy Moss. Suddenly, there were less than 3 minutes to go in regulation and the Patriots were back on top. This wasn't the beatdown that everyone had predicted, but New England was nevertheless just minutes away from a perfect season, from history. And history was indeed made on the ensuing drive. It just didn't go down the way that Patriots fans had hoped. With 2:39 on the clock, Manning and the Giants started out from their own 17-yard line, needing a touchdown. However, 7 plays into the drive that would determine their season, the Giants were still stuck in their own territory with only 2 timeouts remaining and less than 90 seconds on the clock. The Giants were sputtering, unable to move the ball downfield, and Manning only narrowly avoided throwing a game-sealing interception on a 2nd and 5 from the Giants' 44. But just when it seemed like the walls were closing in on the Giants, and like a perfect season was indeed the Patriots' destiny, a miracle happened. One jointly performed by Manning and Tyree, the helmet catch.
Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet, airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree. Inside the 25 and a timeout taken. Oh my God. This ball's thrown and Tyree just goes up for it like a basketball player. Harrison trying to knock it down. And Eli, man, I don't know how he got out of there. I thought he was on the ground and then he came out of the pile and just slings it.
How? How on earth did that happen? Manning staying on his feet was miraculous enough, but then heaving it 30+ yards downfield and having David Tyree, catch it up against his helmet? If there is a God, he's a Giants fan. Because that impossible throwing catch ended up fueling one of the most stunning upsets in Super Bowl history. 4 plays after the helmet catch propelled the Giants into Patriots territory, Manning hit Plexico Burress in the end zone for a go-ahead touchdown pass, putting New York on top 17-14 with 39 seconds on the clock. Against all odds, the Patriots' perfect season and Super Bowl title now hinged on a pretty epic drive itself. They had just half a minute to score a touchdown or kick a field goal to send the game into overtime. Now, if any team could pull that off, it was the Patriots, but they couldn't. Perfection wasn't their destiny. With the game on the line, the Giants' defense suffocated Brady just like they had all night. And after a couple incompletions, a sack, and a desperate 4th and 20 heave, it was all over but the crying for New England.
The Giants have won the Super Bowl.
Somehow, inexplicably, the Giants had denied the Patriots' bid for perfection, capturing their first Super Bowl title since 1990 and immediately cementing their status as an all-time underdog champion. And while Super Bowl MVP honors ultimately went to Manning, that trophy could have easily gone to Tyree, whose name is synonymous with the Giants' improbable championship and who created a legacy for himself in one night. After all, the helmet catch, which was actually the final catch that Tyree made in an NFL game, remains one of the most iconic plays in modern sports history. It was voted the play of the year at the 2008 ESPY Awards, and in 2019, as part of the NFL Centennial celebration, it was selected as the 3rd greatest play in league history. And nearly 2 decades later, the helmet catch is a poignant reminder that nothing is guaranteed in football, that anything can happen once the ball is snapped, and that it usually pays to use your head.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button.